So young people, this is in the eye, young people who are not seeking work will have benefits slashed. What do you think of this, Faiza? Because they've got to find some money, right? That's the whole thing.
Well, what do they need to find money for? I mean, firstly, I would say that so many young people out of work is obviously a problem. But what's the best way to get them into work? Is it by slashing their benefits or is it by supporting them? When you look at the cases, there's a lot of mental health issues. I mean, this is a wider problem in society. So I don't think it's about spending less, because actually you need to support these young people. That costs money.
But there is, wait a minute, this thing of, she thought, Rachel Reeves, thought she had 9.9 billion in headroom and she hasn't got it. And it's like, she's looking under the sofa.
Well, I mean, there's other ways to get money. I mean, firstly, the rich have got a lot richer in this country. And when you look at, say, even just putting a small tax, so a 2% tax on those with over 10 million in assets, which is not many of us at all, that could raise 24 billion a year. So there's other areas.
They just leave the country.
Well, no,
in their droves.
They're not leaving in their droves.
We've had the highest number.
There's so
to interrupt, but we've had the highest number leave in the last year or so than in recent figures. And what would they be paying that more tax for? I'm in favour of this in principle, as long as there are some caveats. I think your caveat about mental health is absolutely
What is the caveat?
Fair and valid. Well, if someone's not working because they have a horrific health problem or mental health problem, then the resources need to go into that to help them get into work.
If you put the word horrific in, these are people who are not working because they have a mental health problem.
Well, it's saying at the moment
they just horrific. I mean,
they just aren't looking for work.
But why have we got so many more mental health problems than we had in the 90s, the 80s,
well, because
the 70s?
society is much harder. The world looks tougher. I mean, if you're a young person, and I actually do have some young friends that are in this situation, I think, they look ahead in their future. I mean, one, pay is so low, it doesn't mean they can move out from their parents. They're never going to afford to buy a house. Like the climate crisis, there's a lot of worries that even I didn't have when I first started out of work in the noughties, that I think, does get to you. And then there's social media and other ways in which,
I was
life is
out
more
for dinner
difficult.
with friends, out for dinner with friends last night, about my age, late 50s, and the wife of my friend, who's from Luxembourg, said her parents, who are dead now, couldn't believe how easy her life is compared to theirs. They had to flee Luxembourg because of the Nazis. When her father came back, his parents were gone and he had to live in a house on his own, age 13. And you still didn't have what we have now.
And that is the key to why I think we have, there's a whole separate subject as to why we have so many young people with mental health problems. But what we don't teach young people nowadays is, I think, resilience. And I'm not trying to invalidate anyone who has a mental health problem, but I think our parents had the benchmark of the adversity of things like war and things like horrific stuff where you couldn't have heating, you couldn't, all of these things,
outside loose,
all of this thing.
Yeah.
But what we try and do in society,
it's not going to work. I mean, saying like, oh, in my day,
we've been lucky. I think we've been lucky.
Yeah, exactly.
We've had it soft.
Yeah, that was a generation before ours. Actually, in some ways, I'm putting us in the same bucket here, which is maybe not a compliment to me. But, so...
I'm Gen X.
I'm a millennial.
You're millennial.
But still an older millennial.
Between.
No, we're pulling rank on each other. There's no in-between, by the way.
But I do think...
No.
But I mean, seriously, I think the bigger thing here is like, if you're thinking about raising money, these are political choices. Why are we continuously hearing about how we're going to cut from welfare, give to warfare? Why are we hearing so much about, cutting from the poorest, or pensioners, rather than the richest that can shoulder that burden far more than others? And I think this is, this political choice is not very Labour.
We do go a lot to the thing of rich people can pay for everything. I don't know whether they can. I don't know. So, but welfare to warfare. Let's remember the first time we heard that phrase. I read it somewhere. Is that yours? No.
I read it somewhere. I don't know where. I'm pretty sure I
literally haven't heard, because they're not doing that at the moment. They're moving foreign aid to warfare, which is the first step.